Welcome to Muscles and Magic the Gathering. You are here because you want to know about one of the most iconic commanders of all time, Teysa Karlov. You are here because you want to learn some great sack outlets for your sacrifice deck. You're here because you love aristocrats. You are here because you love insane combos and cards that are going to make your favorite commander deck better. But first things first, welcome to the show. Welcome to Muscles and Magic the Gathering. My name is Bobby Maximus. I am the Muscle. These cards, Magic the Gathering, something that's been a massive passion of mine for 31 years. I started in Unlimited, and I'm really excited today because this here is my official 67th Commander deck. I have 67 fully completed Commander decks. No proxies, all real, genuine Magic the Gathering cards. I don't use graphics on screen. I'm not one of these Magic the Gathering influencers, if you will, that makes decks on Moxfield and then just pumps them out to the world. These decks I actually own, and they exist in real time and real space. You can come over, you can grab a deck, and you can play. I also don't switch cards between decks unless it is a permanent change. So as you see the deck on my Moxfield, it exists in real life. And by the way, before I go on, there will be a link to my Moxfield and this exact deck in the show notes below. So with all that in mind, let's jump in, let's look at our commander, and let's look at the cards that I've chosen to fill this deck with. My commander, Teysa Karlov, absolutely iconic for an aristocrat deck. It's a 2/4 in the casting cost. It's got a casting cost of 4, 2 colorless, a white and a black. And if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. So this was a fairly straightforward build. I want to have a bunch of sack outlets. I want to have a bunch of stuff that by another creature dying or entering the battlefield is going to trigger. And I want a ton of creature tokens. So with that in mind, let's start with creatures. And I've got the metadata pulled up on my side computer. I use Moxfield. I absolutely love Moxfield, but I've got 37 creatures in this deck. That's a little heavier than I normally put in a deck. Normally with creatures, I'm somewhere between 20 and 30, but in a deck like this, you're going to want more creatures because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of stuff. First creature up, we have the Bloodghast. This is from Aetherdrift. Aetherdrift, I know a lot of people didn't like it. It was one of my favorite sets. But this creature can't block. This creature has haste as long as an opponent has 10 or less life. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a great thing to sacrifice because you can constantly bring it back from the graveyard. Grave Titan, iconic card and an absolute auto-include in a Teysa Karlov deck. It's got Death Touch, and whenever the Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. So just great fodder to sacrifice, if you will. It's a 6/6, so it's a big, beefy creature. The Midnight Reaper. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, this creature deals 1 damage to you, and you draw a card. So a great way to get some extra card draw. A card I loved from Final Fantasy, Summon, Knights of the Round. It's got a really big casting cost, and if you've watched the show before, you know I stay away from big casting cost cards unless they are stellar. This one is stellar. It's an enchantment creature, but the first 4 steps of the saga create 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens. This is the gift that keeps giving and giving and giving and giving again. And then the ultimate end, other creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Put an indestructible counter on each of them. So that's great. And the indestructible counter doesn't hurt you because you're going to sacrifice a lot of things. Mondrak, Glory, Dominus, you know we had to have some type of token doubler in here. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead, and then you can make it indestructible. The Dark Confident. I love the Dark Confident. It used to be one of the greatest cards in Magic the Gathering. I think over the years, it's become a little underrated and underutilized, but it's excellent for card draw, especially in Commander because you have so many life to burn. Life is a resource. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. One of the greatest commons of all time, and if you played a token deck, you know what this is all about. The Mirkwood Bats. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. The Reassembling Skeleton. Return Reassembling Skeleton from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Great in Teysa Karlov deck. Sarah Ascended, one of the best one-drops of all time, and built for Commander, honestly. As long as you have 30 or more life, this creature gets +5/+5 and has flying. It's a one-drop, and you have a 6/6 flyer right out of the gate because it gets +5/+5 and has flying. It's insane. Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. Karlov of the Ghost Council. Whenever you gain life, put 2 1/1 counters on Karlov. You remove 6 of these counters, you exile target creature. One of the best cards from Lord of the Rings is Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff. Whenever a player casts their second spell, each turn you lose 1 life and create a treasure token. I will always trade a life for a treasure token early on in a game of Commander. The Cryptghast, Extort, and whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional mana. If you're building a black or a black and white deck, a Cryptghast is an absolute essential card. Another big casting cost, but a baddie. Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. Vigilance and other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. Here is an iconic card for you, the Viscera Seer. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. You need a lot of sack outlets in your Teysa Karlov deck. The Blood Artist, you know that was going to be in here. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life, you gain a life. Vito, the Fanatic of Alkazolz. Love this card, by the way. It's a 4/4. It's got flying. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life. We're going to sack a lot of permanents, right? If this is the first time this ability is resolved this turn, if it's the second, each opponent loses 2 life. If it's the third, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. The Morbid Opportunist. Whenever 1 or more other creature dies, draw a card. Yahenni, Undying Partisan. Haste, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yahenni. Sacrifice another creature. It gains indestructible till the end of turn. Sir Conrad the Grim, a.k.a. Golbez, clad in darkness. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Golbez deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can make each player mill a card. You know we had to have Sephiroth. Honestly, one of the cards of the year, one of the best cards of all time. Whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do draw a card, a lot of sack outlets in here, we are going to trigger Sephiroth like crazy. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses a life, you gain a life. If this is the 4th time, you transform Sephiroth, and it is going to turn into none other than the One-Winged Angel. Flying, and it's got Supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses a life, you gain a life, kind of like a Blood Artist. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. If you draw that many cards, bonkers in this deck. Campbell, Profiteering Mayor. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control or under your opponent's control, for each of them, create a tapped token that's a copy of it. This ability triggers only once each turn. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and gain a life. Pair that with a Mirkwood Bats. It's bonkers. Corpse Knight. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life. The Ocelot Pride. Love this card. How good was Modern Horizons 3? First strike, lifelink, ascend. You got to own 10 or more permanents. You get the City's Blessing. And at the beginning of your end step, if you created like this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then if you have the City's Blessing for each token you control that enter the battlefield, create a copy of it. With Benny Brax. All right. Convoke, and at the beginning of each end step, if you created a token this turn, draw a card. The Grave Crawler. You may cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. The Pawn of Ulamog. There are some classic Teysa-type cards in here. Whenever Pawn of Ulamog or another non-token creature you control is put into the battlefield from the put in the graveyard from the battlefield, I'm reading that way too fast. You may put a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrifice this creature, add 1 to your mana pool. Teysa, Orzhov Scion, another Teysa. Sacrifice 3 white creatures, exile target creature. Whenever another black creature you control dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. This is a monster right here. Athreos, God of passage. Indestructible as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7. Athros isn't a creature. Whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3. We're going to get a lot of creatures back when we sacrifice them in this deck. You know we had to have the Gray Merchant of Asphodel. When Gray Merchant of Asphodel enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. You pair this with a Saw in Half. It is a bad day for everyone at the commander table. Trust me on that. The Carrion Feeder. It can't block. You sacrifice a creature. Another sack outlet, right? Put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. The Doomed Traveler. When it dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Sorin of House Markov. Now, I use this card a lot. I absolutely love this card. I actually have a Sorin of House Markov deck. It's got lifelink, extort. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, exile Sorin of House Markov, then return him to the battlefield transformed under your owner's control. And we turn into Sorin Ravenous Neonate. Love it. Extort. The +2, you create a food token. The -1, you deal damage equal to that amount of life you gain this turn to any target. And then the -6, gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. Put a lifelink counter on it. It is tremendous. Elenda the Dusk Rose, all right? Another essential in a Teysa deck. Lifelink, whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on it. When it dies, create X 1/1 vampire creature tokens with a lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. The Cruel Celebrant. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses life and gains a life. The Pitiless Plunderer. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token and the Zolaport Cutthroat. Whenever Zolaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. All the creatures you would expect to be in a Teysa Karlov deck. And the best part, look at Teysa Karlov's ability again. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So for a lot of those creatures, you are just double stacking those triggers. It is absolutely awesome. What do we have for artifacts? The Eldrazi Monument, a great sack outlet, but a way to give your creatures 1/1, and they have flying and indestructible. Skull Clamp, you know we absolutely had to have a Skull Clamp in this deck for card draw. Lightning Greaves, we want to be able to protect Teysa a little bit. Bolas's Citadel, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost, or rather than pay its mana cost. Sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. That's a great way to use the sack outlet feature. All right. Phyrexian Altar, sack a creature, add 1 mana of any color. Like I said, I have a ton of sack outlets. Another sack outlet here. Ashnod's Altar, same kind of thing, but you get 2 colorless. We have some great mana rocks. We have Soul Ring. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. We have the Orzhov Signet. We have the Talisman Hierarchy. And yes, we have a jeweled Signet. Or not a jeweled Signet, a jeweled Lotus. I play with banned cards. I do not believe in the banned list. I think it prejudices a certain type of Magic the Gathering player. And here's the deal. This is one of the reasons why I'm going to play with my jeweled Lotus. The Soul Ring is better than the jeweled Lotus. The Soul Ring is the best mana rock of all time. So if you take value or rarity out of it, right, you're trying to tell me you're trying to protect the game of Commander. A Soul Ring is way better than a jeweled Lotus. I'm going to play with a jeweled Lotus. And I have full faith that the committee is going to rectify a very evil wrong that was done in banning the jeweled Lotus. I really think within the next year, we're going to see the jeweled Lotus unbanned. So I'm going to put it in my deck. If you don't like it, take it out, put another sack outlet, put a Mox Amber, put a Lotus Petal, put a Mox Diamond if you have one, put a Grim Monolith. Like, I don't care. There's ways you can get rid of it. Bitter Blossom. We are on to Enchantments now. Great to make some sack fodder. A 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying every turn. Bastion of Remembrance. When this enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain a life. Phyrexian Arena. I really love this card. Just more card draw. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life. This one here, Gate to Phyrexia. Sacrifice 1 of your creatures during your upkeep to destroy any 1 artifact. You may not sacrifice a creature that is already on its way to the graveyard. One of the best sack outlets of all time. And then the Black Market Connections. Yes, I care about the treasure. Yes, I care about drawing the card, but what I really want to do is hire a mercenary and create a changeling that I can sacrifice. We get a lot of instants and sorceries. Not a lot, I shouldn't say a ton. There's 9 of them in total. We have the Village Rites. There's an additional cost to cast this spell. Sack a creature. You draw 2 cards. Deadly Dispute, a great way to draw 2 cards, create a treasure token. Diabolic Intent in this deck goes really hard. It's actually better than a Demonic Tutor in this deck because it acts, I mean, it's the same thing as a Demonic Tutor, but it acts as a sack outlet. And here's one of the things with power level in a deck, right? You put a Demonic Tutor in, it's going to take one of your Game Changer spots. This does the same thing. In fact, it's better in this deck because you can sack something and you get the same effect. So Diabolic Intent. Another tutor, Insatiable Avarice. All right, a great tutor. This is my de facto tutor if I don't have a vampiric tutor. Here's the thing. You might be wondering, Bobby, can't you just put an Imperial Seal in this deck? Again, I don't do this whole graphics on the screen thing. I don't build the ideal deck. I don't use proxies, right? These are the cards I had to play with. In the real world, I mean, if funds were unlimited or I just had a massive stack of cards, right? And I do have a massive stack of cards. But like I would put a Demonic Tutor, I would put a Vampiric, I would put an Imperial Seal. I just don't have that many of them, all right? So I say I don't have many of them. I think I have like 37 Demonic Tutors. They're just all in other decks. So as I build decks, I got to find creative workarounds because I use real cards. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Anguish Unmaking. Trust me, you do not have enough removal in your commander deck. Saw in Half, incredible card to double a lot of those triggers that the creatures have, especially with the great Merchant of Asphodel for ETBs. And then we're going to sack a lot of stuff, so let's just bring it all back from our graveyard using the iconic, the one, the only, the Yawgmoth's Will. We have a bunch of basic lands here. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but just a fabulous little collection of plains and swamps. When I can, I try to put my fanciest, my prettiest lands in my deck because my decks are important to me. I want them to be aesthetically pleasing. And then we have the non-basic lands. Greatest commander land of all time, the Command Tower. It is awesome. We have another banned card, a Caracas. Love Caracas. I really think it should be unbanned. I do play with banned cards again. Add white mana to your mana pool. Return target legendary creature to its owner's hand. And if you, listen, if you don't want to use a Caracas, there are plenty of other cards you can use. I'm actually looking for a few right now, but there are plenty of lands you could put in here. Maybe like I think the Wastewood Verge, I think, is a plains in a swamp land, but you could put a lot of stuff in its place. We have Bear-Dur. Bear-Dur enters the battlefield tapped with control a legendary creature. The big thing here is you can amass orcs, so you can make something to sacrifice. Cabal Coffers, and you combine that with Urborg, the Tomb of Yawgmoth, and it is Mana City for everyone involved. Absolutely love it. Caves of Koilos. These lands are essential in any kind of color deck that you're going to have. And the rare, the one, the only City of Shadows. Love the name, love the card. Sacrifice one of your creatures, but remove it from the game instead of placing it in your graveyard. Put a counter on City of Shadows, and then you can tap it at X colorless mana to your mana pool, where X is the number of counters on City of Shadows. You can make a ton of mana with the City of Shadows, and I absolutely love the card. So there you have it. There is the Teysa Karlov deck. It is absolutely bonkers. Absolutely love it. An iconic commander in the Magic the Gathering world. Now, for the metadata on the deck, it is worth $1,178.86. Absolutely. That's a necessity for me. Out of all my commander decks, I want them all to be worth more than $1,000. And yes, collecting is really important to me. It is my life. I've been collecting for 31 years. I'm not going to apologize for it. I only have one deck out of the 67 right now that is worth less than $1,000. It's my Assassin's Creed deck, but that will be fixed. I am on the hunt for a Mary Reed and Anne Bonny serialized card. It is technically a bracket 3. It's kind of a rule 0 deck because I have 2 banned cards. But if you take out the Jeweled Lotus, you take out the Caracas, it's going to be a bracket 3 deck. And again, I might remove the Caracas for a Wastewood Verge or whatever. I might remove the Jeweled Lotus for a Mox Amber or a Mox Lotus or a Grim Monolith or like a Mana Vault or like whatever you want to write. So it's technically a bracket 3 deck. The total mana value is 166. It moves fast and furious, all right? I'm really, really big on the total mana value of the deck. And the total mana value is all the mana symbols on the cards added together. The lower it is, the faster it's going to play. You want to build a really high-powered deck, the mana value has to be low. And it's really low considering we have a couple of massive casting cost cards in here. Like you take out Elish Norn and summon Knights of the Round, we're down at 151. So this deck moves fast and furious. Again, Teysa Karlov, all right? Thank you, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, for coming by to Muscles and Magic the Gathering. But I have a couple of asks for you. Number one, subscribe, smash that like button. It is important, all right? Please support the channel. This is my biggest passion, and I want to make the most positive, the happiest, the most educational, the most fun Magic the Gathering channel on the planet. There's a lot of these Magic the Gathering influencers out there that complain about every little thing and rage bait. I'm not into that. I just want to celebrate the joy of the game and have fun. So please support the channel. And most importantly, I got to tell you, there are so many smart people like you out there, incredible Magic the Gathering players. Please, please, please comment what cards would you add to this Teysa Karlov deck. Chances are I'll change it. Chances are by the time you see this video and you go look at the deck list, it will have changed. I literally do some type of deck tech on these things every single day of my life. So you make the comment, I will likely go change the deck. I'm always changing my decks, always upgrading them. That's something you will notice. So there you go. There is another episode of Muscles and Magic the Gathering. Thank you so much for coming by.